No, he's got money in his pocket.
Yeah, he does. All right, we're live, fellas. Welcome back to the Trifecta Sports Show. I'm Frank. I'm with Coop and Dave, as always. Today, we've got a little heavy heart for the most part. I know everybody was pretty pumped to watch the Bengals and the Bills yesterday, as was I. I've not been feeling the best the last couple of days. I've kind of been under the weather. But I was kind of excited for that. I wanted to go to sleep at about 7:30 yesterday, but I stayed up. That the game felt like it was going to be a shootout. It felt like both teams were hot. Offenses were going to be scorching the defenses. And then the unfortunate circumstance of Demar Hamlin suffering a cardiac arrest incident, freak accident on the field, causing the game to be suspended. The NFL did announce today that the game will not be made up this week. I just want to throw a quick shout out to how shitty of a person Skip Bayless is, and a number of other people on Twitter who were primarily concerned about playoff seeding and all of that junk when nobody really cares about any of that. We're going to get on here today and talk about fantasy football implications of it, but in reality, that doesn't matter either. I think the good things have been reported for Demar in the hospital currently. I did read today that he was 100% on a ventilator, and as of a few hours ago, if not a little bit sooner, he's up to 50%, which is a great improvement. So we hope to hear good things continuously coming from that camp. And kudos to the medical staffs on both sidelines and then at Paycor Stadium in general. They saved that dude's life. So, thoughts and prayers to Demar Hamlin. That's the title of our show today. Hopefully, whatever we talk about today with regard to fantasy football and the implications and the NFL season in general, just know that it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Nobody cares more about fantasy football than they do about another person's life that actually plays in the game. But just wanted to give that a disclaimer and throw that out there before we get started today. If you've new to the show, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We'd appreciate that. We're still on the road to 100 subscribers, fellas. We ain't getting there. I think we're going to have to switch it up a little bit. But so today we're going to talk about some of the strategies that we've brainstormed to help us finish. Keith, always with the Raiders, man. Shout out Keith Hall. He loves the Raiders. Jarrett Stidham looking good, though.
Frank, we're live.
Yeah, my phone.
I need you to turn that off.
Going off.
Show some respect to our viewers.
But yeah. Keith, shout out to the Raiders, always. I did say Jarrett Stidham's looking pretty good, though. We'll see what happens. That'll be interesting. The NFL offseason is going to be interesting in general. But we're going to throw around a couple ideas today. So if you guys are in fantasy football leagues that haven't wrapped up yet, this was our championship week. And we're going to just kind of brainstorm some ideas. We talked about some stuff earlier today. Some pretty cool ideas to help us finish our championship game. Coop, of course, is in our championship game along with one of our buddies, Chaz Jocelyn, who has a very good team and is currently winning the game as of right now. So pretty handily as well. So
quick shout out on the Raiders, though. I don't think it's all bad. I think, I said this in offseason that Josh McDaniels was a terrible hire. He's never done anything even close to being successful as a head coach. But
he won a playoff.
That's
game.
only.
So
he did.
That's only.
He did.
So did Tim Tebow.
They won it together.
Second time this year that somebody
one
has
of them
put
is
up,
no longer in the league. Day.
Somebody's put up more than 21, I think, on the Niners.
Yeah,
like that's a top 2 defense. And they put 34 points up on them. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, if you're in here and you have fantasy leagues that are not concluded yet, throw us your ideas as well. We wish. Big Al. That's funny. So one of our thoughts for finishing our fantasy football league in our championship game is one, we kind of wanted to wait a few days just to kind of see what happened. Now that we know that the game will not be finished and may not even get played. So now we have to figure something out to where it's fair for both parties involved and is a logical and as a group acceptable way to complete a fantasy league. We are a money league, but we don't get. It's like $140. It's nothing.
Yeah.
But the belt is worth more than $140. That's a big deal. It's got beer holders in it, for God's sakes. So, that's going to be a prized possession in our friend group for a long time, for the next year, actually. So, one of the ideas we threw around was to actually get together, simulate a Madden game, and then convert all the stats from a Madden game to fantasy points based on our calculations. So, that's an option. What are some other options that you guys have talked about?
I just said this before the show. Just wait. If it doesn't get played, it doesn't get played. Scores are what they are. I mean, that means I lose pretty bad. Not even really a close matchup.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of circumstances and things that happen during an NFL game throughout the course of a season where you don't get do-overs. And I know this is a situation we've never seen before, but I don't think focusing on a workaround, putting energy into that is the right play. Like, it happened absolutely horrible, but maybe it's just you let it lie.
I would honestly be okay with that.
See, that's where I disagree with you guys, but this is coming from a guy who's in 3 third-place games that lost all 3 of those this week with no Bills or Bengals players going to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for the electricity of this event. We went through COVID and we said unprecedented however many times. Now we are sitting here in 2023 with an unprecedented event where fantasy football just got flipped on its head. So many leagues that I'm in have implications of these 2 teams and players, and I'm just here. Let's make the best out of a situation. I say, let's go crazy. Let's see something. Let's do something that's never been done. I love the Madden idea just because what's a better reason than to watch a simulated football game with your buddies than to just cheer on fake Zach Taylor making play calls? Is he going to throw it to Jamar Chase? Is he going to throw it to Tyler Boyd? Like, you just don't know. And I think that's where, we're unprecedented times. Let's have fun with it. Because the last time we were in this waters, it wasn't as fun. It wasn't a fun football game that we were talking about.
Yeah, you're right.
I will tell you,
go ahead.
For the portion of the game that was played, it was very hard to sit in Paycor Stadium in a Bengals section and not react to the performance of my fantasy players. Like, Tyler Boyd scores a touchdown. We're in the Bengals end zone. Everybody's going nuts. And I'm sitting there like, why did that not go to T. Higgins? Josh Allen scrambles for a first down. I have to pull my fist back out of the air.
Were you wearing Bengals gear?
Yes, I was.
Nice.
And I wasn't rooting against them. I would have loved to see the Bengals, win that game.
You just need to be a Bengals fan, Coop. I got a jersey I'll give it to you. I'm never wearing that again.
Invested in individuals.
That game was gonna be a shootout.
Oh, 100% it was gonna be a shootout.
Joe B was driving down that field, the first drive and the second drive. Josh Allen took him right down into, goal scenario. So it's just a real bummer. Situation sucks, but I really hope the NFL can figure it out and we can see these teams play.
I just don't see any way that game gets played.
I don't either, unless it's in the playoffs.
Yeah, once I heard that they were flying back, that to me was game's done.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the only way I feel like they could get it in is if they move the entire playoffs up a week and they get rid of the bye between the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that'd be super hard with venues and sponsorships and TVs, TV.
And that's Pro
whatever
Bowl
they do there, and the Pro Bowl, which nobody cares about. The Pro Bowl.
There is no Pro Bowl.
You got to do something with it.
Have a banquet or something. Hey, nobody cares about the Pro Bowl. It's not even gonna be a game anymore, which I do like that fact. I think I made a video on it a while back. Some options that we'd like to see in the Pro Bowl games. So head on over there and watch that video if you haven't already. It's pretty cool. I made it myself. So with that, another option that we had for finishing our fantasy league championship would be to take their projected scores, which are not often that reliable, but they're usually more over projected than under projected for the majority of teams and the majority of players. Oftentimes, your player would be projected 25, 30 points, and he scores 14. So, for safety reasons, in terms of for sure points, that's a good way to go. Just take straight up projections and call it there. Another one that I think Dave had this in our text messages early today. Obi-Wan, I'll get to your question in a minute. We talked about some news earlier. There's really not much been released for a while, but I'll tell you what I know, which you guys might know a little bit more than I do. But I was just scrolling Twitter, not even 15 minutes before we started this. So another thing you could do is take each players on the Bengals and if on the Bengals and Bills roster, average their points per week. So they're all going to be at the same amount of games. They've all had their bye week. Take their points they had every week, average them, and that's what they get for this game. And then add that to your total. Then you could figure out your champion that way. That seems the most fair, in my opinion. Just to make it sure that it's safe. Nobody's going to get pissed off about it because you're obviously in the championship for a reason. So your players have probably performed all year long. There wouldn't be any switching, tinkering on moving people out of the bench spot into the lineup either. So it's whoever's in your starting lineup now. That's who we average. So if you're out there and you have any other ideas, let us know. What are other? I don't know what other people are doing. Haven't really seen anything online about what people are suggesting for their fantasy leagues. And like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. We're here talking about fantasy football because it's what we like, but the fact that we're here talking about, Demar Hamlin and his medical situation, that's what's most important. So let's get that point through before we do anything. As far as Denny Hamlin's health, or Denny Hamlin.
Demar.
This ain't NASCAR, fellas. Demar Hamlin. I said earlier that he was on a ventilator. He is sedated. He was 100% on the ventilator. And now he's only at 50%. So he's breathing 50% on the ventilator, 50% on his own. A cardiac arrest is something that nobody can really play with. And the fact that he is still surviving in the hospital currently is all credit to the medical staff on the field at the time. And there's a couple other things I'd like to talk about, too, in terms of how ESPN handled the situation. I thought they did a great job. I thought they were forced. Not really forced. I thought a lot was asked of them to continue talking about the same thing over and over again with really nothing else to talk about. They did a really good job. Everybody, Scott Van Pelt, Ryan Clark, those guys did a great job afterwards. There's a couple of guys on Twitter that can probably go to hell for all I care. But that's the only thing we know now. I don't know if he's been responsive at all, whether it be hand movements. I think he's been sedated pretty much the entire time. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm not 1,000% sure.
Yeah. Coop, I want to know from a guy that was standing there in the stadium, what was going on? Like, what were they telling you all? What were you seeing?
They didn't say that.
Absolute radio
Coop figured
silence.
it out from us. What was going on?
Yeah, there was no information inside the stadium. Initially, it looked like another player injured. There had already been 2 stoppages for Bills players getting injured up to that point in the game. So the crowd was very rowdy in their reaction of it. Then pretty quickly, like the entire team came out surrounding him, ambulance, backs on the field. Mood definitely changed. I've never seen at any level, really in any scenario, reactions, which, everybody's seen them. They weren't just in the stadium, but the players on the field, how they were reacting, and you could see their facial expressions and body language, and just really, really shifted. And then, what was bickering and the jabs and stuff that were going back and forth in the stands, all that just ended. Really everybody came together. It wasn't blue and orange. It wasn't Bengals Bills. It was just a bunch of people experiencing a trauma right in front of them. So a lot of great people there. I mean, it was really amazing to watch. Pretty much, 99.9% of the crowd just totally understand the gravity of the situation. I did not hear one person upset over how they handled it or that, the game was canceled. There was no questions about refunds, reschedule. Like nobody had that on their mind. So shout out to both Bengals and Bills fans because Bills had a great crowd there. It was really, I was shocked to see so much
the crowd
blue
was
in the
popping.
stands.
It was popping. I bet that was an electric atmosphere at kickoff.
Yeah. But
just think about what these guys had to go through. Obviously, his family they were in the crowd. I saw a video of him before the game hugging his family on the sidelines. They were taking videos and pictures with him.
I think that was an absolute blessing, though.
Yeah, it really is.
Think about if that was going on, having his mom there. His mom could have been in Buffalo. Imagine if Buffalo had 10 feet of snow and she had to watch her son go into cardiac arrest and she can't even get there. So I think the fact that she's there is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. But I know they went through a couple cycles of CPR. I've never seen CPR take place in person. I've been trained on it for every single year, pretty much since I've been in my job. It's almost 10 years now. I get certified every 2 years. Certified in AED usage. An AED had to be used on the field as well. And I know that in order for all that to take place, I mean, with, the eyes of, 100 players and coaches, more than 100 players and coaches, watching all that take place, the pressure it takes to do it correctly, that just goes to show you that, like, these guys that are professionals that are, taking care of our players, it's more than a game at that point. It's literally a life and death situation. So there was no chance of them playing that game. And when I heard that they were given 5 minutes to get warmed up to resume the game, I was like, that's bullshit, dude. And kudos to the coaches.
Accurate. Yeah,
no, it was accurate.
NFL's disputed it.
They disputed it. But that was on the broadcast that happened. They may not have, they're going to dispute it simply because of the fact. The reason that game was stopped is because the coaches and players didn't want to play it anymore. That's why it was stopped. And now you can't tell me any different. The NFL is going to try to dispute it to make it look better than what it is. But it's still a situation that there's no chance in hell any of those guys are emotionally and mentally stable enough to continue a football game and play it to their ability level. They're going to have trouble. They're going to have trouble playing next week.
Yeah, I don't think the league and their proximity to the game, the contacts they would have to make, I don't think they had time to react quickly enough. I mean, obviously Goodell could have just made hit the red button and stopped it all immediately, but you don't know. Nobody knew. There was nothing coming out. So the coaches they cleared the field. That was Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott. They went to the officials. They took them off the field and essentially ended the game. So you're right in that aspect. I don't think it was a failure by the league in doing that. I think everyone knew once they left the field, it was over. They didn't come out and say that right away, but I just think the priority was somewhere else. I don't think there really was ever any intention of those guys playing again. And I think just out of habit and out of a career of playing football, those guys just kind of instinct, the field's empty, so they start doing their high knees and tossing the ball around. I don't think anybody said, hey, we're going to go.
Yeah, I think, from my standpoint, I was at my darts league, sitting at the bar where everybody's watching the game on their phones because of fantasy implications. And, the scene wasn't a bad one. I mean, T. Higgins lowered his shoulder into the safety. See it probably 500 times on a Sunday.
Yeah, it wasn't a hard hit. It wasn't vicious.
He got up. He got up and he fell over. I mean, it looked like he was unconscious, which, I mean, he was. It looked like he was knocked out, not unconscious. But, I could see, even if the league, did say 5 minutes to go, let's go, I could see that from a knee-jerk reaction of, oh, it's just another, or a knockout player, he probably needs to go to the hospital to get checked out, not knowing the full context of what was going on at the start of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jacob's comment here said the league calling Joe Buck a liar for saying they wanted to continue is disgusting. That brings me to my next point on how I want to sort of shine a light on the ESPN crew. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, they were put in the worst situation ever. Even the people back, like I think I don't forget who it was. Booger McFarland was on the set. Adam Schefter, I can't maybe I don't remember the woman's name that's on there, but
Susie Colbert.
Susie Colburn, yep. They did an exceptional job bouncing back and forth and basically filling airtime on a difficult situation that they do nothing about. They're kind of just winging it up there, trying to, watch their words because it's a specialized situation and trying to give somebody out there watching a little bit of information that they didn't have. And I find it hard to believe that Joe Buck would have said the official's word is that they're going to give them 5 minutes before they get back on the field. He wouldn't have made that up. I don't think so.
I think it's kind of the standard procedure when there's a delay in a game, which we don't see them often, but when that happens, players get 5 minutes to warm up. So I think probably someone on that staff told him this is what usually happens, or this is a
That could be
SOP
true too.
for this situation, but this wasn't a standard situation.
It was
I don't think Joe Buck's at fault. I don't think he made it up. He got that somewhere, but I don't think that was like a league directive that, hey, we're going to start back. It was probably just someone assuming this is what we've done.
Yeah, Tyler, we were texting with Coop throughout the time in our group chat, and we were like, Coop, what's going on down there? Like, we saw the TV and we hear the announcers, but you guys didn't hear. And I know that you guys didn't probably know anything until they started taking the stuff off the sidelines, right?
Oh, yeah. No idea.
So, and that was 45 minutes after the hit was made, after the tackle was made. And that's
from the time
difficult
that
too.
play ended, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Not a word.
And then I saw they made an announcement about the game being suspended. But even before that, that was before they even came and take the stuff off the sidelines. I think probably the issue with the broadcast in the stadium probably has to do with lack of information, honestly. There's so many people to get. There's not like a group text you can send one text of one person and it just kind of go out to everybody. There's a lot of steps to cover that we don't know, obviously. And a lot of, I's to dot, T's to cross, things like that. Like I said, man, it's just a crappy situation. And I feel for the guy. I really do because, he came in as a starter in week 3, I believe they said, for Micah Hyde. He's played well. I saw highlights of him. He's very involved in his community. I know he had a GoFundMe for his toy drive that was like at $34,000 or something. And now it's over $3 million. So
it's over 5.
Well, and that was from last night. So it gets gained $2 million overnight. It just goes to show you, like, Bills fans are on a separate level. And that's probably a lot of Bills fans. And also Bengals fans can do the same thing as well. I'm sure that a lot of those guys have hopped on. But, that just goes to show you what kind of person he is. It's over 7 now. Jesus Christ. That dude is very well loved. And I know they had Mike Tomlin on the ESPN today during my lunch break. I was watching it. He played at Pitt. Pitt and the Steelers share a facility. So he knew him. Like he said, I've known that kid since he was 12 years old. He's a Pitt guy. He's a Pittsburgh kid. He's from Pittsburgh. He's just kind of talking about the situation, about how tough he is and how, wishes nothing but the best, obviously. But, yeah, that's the gist of it. I don't know what else to talk about other than,
I want to touch on Skip.
Okay.
So
there's a special place in hell for Skip Bayless.
I disagree with you, but I'm going to go ahead and preface this. I'm not a Skip fan. Body of work, not a fan. Don't like his analysis. Don't agree with most of it. I do think he looks for attention, 100%, which a lot of people do, but most of them know the moments. I think that single tweet and the 75% of it that's getting all the hate was really just handpicked. Because the last line, he's just saying, like, this is a situation in the NFL. It's completely irrelevant because of what's going on. That's what that tweet said. And the two before it, like it wasn't his first one. He just said a prayer for him and his family after talking about not exactly sure what happened. And then, seen so many horrific injuries, never seen a reaction like this. He's like, this was different for these players. And then the one that he got so much hate over, he talks about postponing the game and then just kind of the gravity of how big this game was. And we all knew it. This was probably the biggest game of the regular season. And he ends the statement by saying, but he ends the statement saying it's all irrelevant. Like the game does not matter. So I think people really ran away with that out of context. And I'm not a Skip fan. I would love to not see him on TV. Never really agreed with any of his analysis. But I think the hate he's getting is a little out of line. He worded it poorly. People had too much time to react to the negative before they saw that last part of the statement. But I don't think he had any malicious intent there at all.
Here's my thing on Skip Bayless. He does this shit. It's not the first time he's done something like this. He shits on people constantly for no reason. I don't know how Shannon Sharp ain't reached across the table and slapped that dude across the face multiple times.
I get that. I don't think this tweet was that. That's what I'm saying.
I can see that being an opinion as well. I'm open-minded that way. But why tweet anything at all? You don't have to.
No, he probably does. He probably
doesn't.
is under contract. It might be in his contract.
That he has to tweet about those situations?
Yeah. He's got to get clicks, man. He's got to get impressions.
And that's what he does. It's the same thing as Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd is useless. But he does talk about Baker Mayfield worse than we do. He makes those, erratic statements and clips them and posts them on Instagram or Twitter just so he gets traffic. And that's fine. But I don't like it. It's just not ethical, in my opinion.
I guess where I fail to see the troll there. I fail to see where what he said was bad. And maybe that's ignorance on my part.
I think he could have waited. The dude was still on the ground while he tweeted it.
Yeah, but he probably didn't know what was going on.
Then don't react if you don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, until you know, like now that you know that the dude is, I don't want to count the chickens before the eggs hatch, but the dude is probably going to make it out to the other side. The condition that he's going to be in is unknown. Modern medicine is marvelous. But at the time the tweet was sent, we didn't know if the dude was going to live or die. He was on the field getting chest compressions and defibrillator. And he's sending tweets about that.
Yeah, but we didn't know.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
We didn't know he was in cardiac arrest.
We didn't. But you could tell something bad was wrong.
If he just sent the part of that
just use better judgment. Send the tweet 20 minutes later and nobody's batting an eye about it.
But the same thing was mentioned on coverage in the same manner, but you were listening to someone say it, and they could emphasize the irrelevance part of the statement so much more than everybody else could screen grab the rest of it. I think it was like less than 30 minutes. Scott Van Pelt almost said it word for word on live TV.
This is where I'll go with it. This has happened before. Jay Bouwmeester went into cardiac arrest for the St. Louis Blues in 2020, March of 2020, in a game against the Anaheim Ducks. They did the exact same thing. They revived him twice. But the different, because in hockey, their bench is right next to a hallway, so they could get his ass out of there without him being in the middle of the ice seeing this. Yeah. They called the game. I think I saw it last night. They called the game after 20 minutes. The NFL took an hour. But they still played that game. Granted, it was in the middle of the season. They made it up at the end where schedules could allow. But, someone said it last night. The NFL is marked as an entertainment business. Like, those guys have to go get paychecks. It's a business. The situation last night, no one should play in that. But they're going to have to play again.
Yeah.
So when? I mean, are we just, are they going to be able to go back out there Sunday?
And
I think they will.
He wasn't asking the question. He was putting a thought that everybody had in their minds and that people were mumbling to the person they're sitting next to. And at the end, he said it's all irrelevant because everybody's thinking it, but they all knew. Like I just said, we walked out of the stadium. Nobody's asking about refunds. Nobody's asking about parking when the game's played again. They were thinking it. They were wondering it. I had individual texts from people asking some of those questions.
Yeah.
But they knew that wasn't the most important thing. Like, it doesn't matter. Even the text messages preface that. And that's what he was doing. He worded it poorly. If irrelevant was at the beginning, I don't know that we're having this conversation today.
That's true, too. I can see that. There's a number of... Here's what social media has done to people. And I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else is. But the fact that you feel brave enough to send anything and everything out to the web because you're not immediately going to get smacked in the face for it is a problem. Like, you can make people mad all you want on the internet and you're safe. You can just chill in your house, you're safe. But you say that at a bar and you're getting your teeth knocked in. And now we're in a society to where nobody can handle themselves and keep their mouth shut when it needs to happen. I'm just saying, yeah, he probably is required to say something. But I think if you look at the grand scheme of all of the other personalities, the big names in sports, look what they were typing versus what Skip was typing. He had ulterior motives there. He was trying to rile some people up, and it worked. I just think there's a more professional way to go about things. That's my argument.
And like I said, I don't like him professionally. I don't like the work he does.
I don't like Stephen A. Smith either.
And it probably
First Take was the worst show in the world with those two guys on it.
Yeah.
That's probably where his mind took him. I mean, maybe that's the personality type he is. That's what he plays on TV. Maybe that's just Skip. And you're right. Other guys had the whereabouts to know I shouldn't even go down this avenue, regardless of if I disclaim it or not. And I don't disagree with that. I just think the amount of extreme hate that he's getting for this tweet individually is a little over the top. But other people handled it infinitely better than he did.
That's fair. I agree with that.
That's the beautiful thing about Twitter.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want.
Speaking of sports in general, Dave, are you watching the UK game by now?
Yeah.
What's
Don't tell me I think I'm behind.
I'm not involved.
74-71. Kentucky's up with 3 seconds left. LSU has the ball. They got 94 feet to the hoop.
All I know is I hear my mother-in-law in my living room screaming her brains out. So if you guys hear it through the microphone, I'm sorry.
I thought Lindsay was yelling at your kids, but I wasn't going to say nothing.
No, that's my mother-in-law watching the UK game. It gets hectic up in here during UK basketball games, not going to lie. A lot of things are said. A lot of things are thrown sometimes. Toppin just hit 2 free throws. Holla at your boy.
Is there context in those things?
Yes.
Would you say them on Twitter?
No. No. I would say them out loud. I mean, I've got a bit of a potty mouth. I think you guys know that. But I wouldn't say it on Twitter. I do say some things on Twitter, but I try not to. But some of the things that... No, I could write a book on things that are said at our house during basketball games. Being a UK fan lately has not been fun. I don't think we talked about the bowl game at all.
We all need to.
So yeah, we lost there. We talked about it. Justin Rogers hit the transfer portal today. That's a big loss for UK football. If you guys are UK football fans, chime in with what your thoughts are. I don't know, man. When it comes to UK athletics, I just watch the games. People talk about like Coach Cal and how we need to fire him and things like that. And part of me is like, would it be the worst thing if you left? Probably not, but
can't afford it.
You can't wish for those types of things, not knowing what you got coming. If you got a guy lined up,
right.
That's coaching, Jacob. I'll be honest with you. 64% for the season. Hey, but that's Cal's teams though. We never shoot free throws.
That might be the best free throw shooter on the whole team though.
Which one?
This whoever 64%. They've all
probably.
been trash
I
this
know there's
year.
anybody better. I'd put the guys on the bench. I'd put Brendan Canada in and let him shoot free throws.
Hey, shout out Goddescali.
He got a scholarship. Shout out to Brendan Canada. I bet he didn't know he was going to be mentioned on the Trifecta Sports Show this week, but the dude was awarded a scholarship this week for UK basketball.
Winchester kid, right?
Kentucky kid. Went to GRC, right down the road from where we live. Congratulations to the kid. Proud of you, buddy. I do get punked when he goes to the game. There's always that one guy at the end of the bench that I love. It was Brian Long. It used to be Jared Polson until he started playing. What a time that was when Jared Polson was our starting point guard. Wheeler's a 57% free throw shooter. As a point guard, it's pretty ridiculous.
As a point guard.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yep.
Not gonna lie. All right, guys. What else is on the docket? What do you guys have in mind?
Back to the transfer portal. Did you hear the numbers that old Drake May at UNC was getting offered? Heard like up to $5 million in NIL deals from other schools, specifically SEC schools.
Drake May is a first-round draft pick. That's for sure. Coming out of college, didn't he already make a tweet saying that he was a Carolina boy?
Oh yeah, he's not going anywhere.
He's staying.
Him and Mac Brown have addressed the offers that he was getting.
So North Carolina came in with $2 million or $3 million.
They called up Michael Jordan, like, "Hey, we need some cash, bruh."
Dude, that is talk about athletic families. Have you seen the breakdown on the Mays?
Is that the May, the same guy, the same May that played basketball? Is that the same family?
That hit the shot that knocked UK out of the tournament.
Why, Frank? Why did you set him up for that softball?
I'm shutting down. We're ending the podcast right now. We're shutting it down.
Anyway, so Drake May won a title at UNC. Their brother, Cole May, I believe, won a baseball title at the University of Florida. Now you've got this May. This one's Drake. Yeah.
Luke is a basketball player.
Yeah, Luke's the basketball player. Drake
looks like
Ryan.
Looks like what's his name from KSR?
He if they had a better record, I think he's your Heisman winner. If they go one loss instead of, I think they did like 9-4 or something, he very well could have won the Heisman this year.
I don't agree with the Heisman winner.
ACC was trash. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard when you don't have dominance in a conference like that. And then the fourth brother is on UNC's basketball team as a preferred walk-on. That's crazy.
That's a pretty stout family there. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, you guys can talk about something besides UNC now. I apologize for killing the mood.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad now. I need to go to bed. But
that was my favorite Kentucky team, Coop.
We were so good, though. We were so good.
Is that the second worst play in UK history? We'll just say one is one and leave it at that.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that one.
We weren't even alive, but we know what it is because our parents ingrained it in our brains. You even bring up that name, and everybody's like, "Ugh, he shouldn't have been in a game."
But obviously, that's one head and shoulders above everything else. Is the Luke May shot number 2?
I can't think of anything worse.
How did Kentucky lose to Wisconsin in 15?
I don't think it was a last-second shot. I think they kind of pulled away about 3 or 4. We just couldn't hang.
Yeah, it wasn't a buzzer beater. So
no. We were young then too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it number 2.
Somebody else older than us is probably going to say something a little different.
But they know more than me, so that's fine.
Shot clock, no call versus Wisconsin. I don't quite remember it. I just remember losing, and when that happens, I just kind of forget about it after that. I try not to dwell on losses too much. I don't really have much left to talk about, guys. It's kind of hard to dive into fantasy football and other sports when everything's kind of revolving around the health of a 24-year-old from Buffalo. it's pretty difficult to get on here and talk about anything else because you kind of feel obligated. If you're a sports talk show, you have to cover it, and to kind of just move on from it with high hopes and dreams on covering something else, it kind of feels wrong in my opinion. So, thank you guys. You guys have anything else you want to add today?
Yeah, I got some ideas for some fantasy football championship leagues.
I want to hear it.
So another idea I had, let's use Week 18 scores. Bengals and Bills are going to be back out there on Sunday. Same players are going to play. Most leagues are done. Just take their scores from that game because they're both still playing for something.
Would you manually add them to old player scores?
Oh yeah, no, you'd have to like
screenshot the scores right now,
website,
and then after that game, go and add in the other scores from the other teams.
Right. So like your ESPN league's probably going to say XYZ's champion, but someone else.
Yeah.
But if you do it manually, like somebody else might win. But that's what I was saying earlier. I'm just here for. I want a champion that's crowned. It stinks that the situation sucks as is. So like, let's find some light at the end of the tunnel here and bring happiness to what brings us together in fantasy football, and let's get it. Let's end the season right.
I'm not against some Rochambeau best of 3. I mean, break it down. Let the managers actually do something for a win for a change instead of just clicking a couple buttons.
Whenever you texted us that you were going to buy Madden and you and Chaz were going to play head up for the fantasy football championship, that I was like, yeah, I'll tune into that. That'd be so fun. I don't even know if Chaz plays video games, but he better learn.
I doubt he does. Whatever you come up with, like the most important thing is the two people in the championship have to agree upon it. The rest of us don't really matter because we're not affected by it.
Not in ours. We're a 3-person committee. Chaz is not on it. He's going to do what we say.
But do you think about it, though?
You're a 2-person committee.
Let's say Coop was not in it. Let's say Zach was in it. It would be Zach and Chaz. Let's say that was the situation. For us to pick a way to solve this problem without their opinions and what they feel is fair, it's kind of unfair to them.
If you're picking those two, I would see who would let me go the furthest with picking out a tattoo for them.
Ooh.
It's Zach.
They're both pretty tat heavy. I think we could get away with something.
Yeah, I think you really could.
Yeah, we talked about that too. Just kind of leaving it as is.
Yep.
Ending it the way it is. I think that's the safest bet, honestly. I think it's probably what most other people will do, especially if the game isn't finished. I just want to know other people's opinions. We don't have a ton of people on here right now, but if you're on there, what are your leagues talking about? If you're watching this after the stream, comment on below. Tell us what you have come up with. I know fantasy football commissioners come up with some crazy things like draft strategies and how to get the draft order, all kinds of funny things. And then what you do if you lose or if you're in last place. There's some creative people out there. So with that being said, just kind of, throw some comments down there, throw some in the chat. We'll talk about it.
What hopefully about this? We take each player's worst and best score of the season, flip a coin, which one you get.
Oh, high-low, cut the deck.
Oh, that's cool, Dave. That's a good idea.
See, boys, the wheels have been turning all day.
Jacob said the pots are getting split. That we talked about that too. Just split it evenly. I was in a fantasy league 1 year with some people at work. I was in the championship game, and before the game even started, me and it was like, I think each one of us got $200, so it's pretty even. We split the money before the game started, so regardless, I won $200. I took the deal. I ended up losing.
I'm against that.
I lost. But splitting the pot is not a bad idea, especially.
I wouldn't play good for you either if I knew you just quit. That's like coaches going to get another job before the bowl game.
Calvin Ridley has a 1-year sussy for doing the same thing.
Hey, Calvin Ridley, he's probably going to get a ton of preseason hype, but right now, I want him in my top 10 wide receivers.
I think you're right, Coop.
You want him in your top 10?
Did you guys know? I saw a video on this the other day. Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper are the exact same age. They played at the exact same high school, at the exact same college, but never played on the same team. Yeah. Calvin Ridley was 20 years old when he graduated high school. That's Alabama for you. He only got to play like 3 games into his high school career because he reached the age limit. He turned 20 while he was in high school.
He wasn't smart enough to do the Bryce Harper.
I don't know. Things happen, dude.
Was it his brother? So his brother went to Georgia then.
Yes.
His brother was he was pretty damn good at Georgia, but he didn't do anything in the league.
No.
I think.
But yeah, Calvin Ridley, I mean, they got to find a quarterback. I don't know if Desmond Ridder's the guy.
He's on the Jaguars, Frank.
He's on the I thought he was on the Falcons. Oh, that's who got him. We have to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's where I don't think Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, if Evan Ingram comes back, he could be like a Gabe Davis to me, where it's like he's going to have great weeks, but he's going to have terrible weeks.
I think Zay Jones fills that role. I honestly see them. This is a bold statement.
Jaguars making the playoffs easily?
No. Oh, I could see that. That division's terrible.
They're going to make the playoffs easily this year, I think.
Yeah.
They're going to win some games in the playoffs soon. It's happening.
That offense looks a lot like Cincinnati to me. When you talk about the weapons they have. You got a young quarterback who's made great strides in his second year. You got an explosive running back. You've got 3 receivers that can get the job done. Kirk's an elite slot guy. Probably takes a step back.
I don't think you have the receiver Cincinnati has, but everywhere else, I can see it being pretty simple.
Like, you're behind all those guys. Kirk's probably better than Boyd in the slot, but the other 2 are downgrades. I just think
Burrow is hands and feet above Trevor Lawrence, though.
Right now.
But that gap could close. I will say that.
Yeah. And Evan Ingram's probably a better receiver than Hayden Hurst.
I don't think we can say
receiver.
I don't think we can compare Lawrence and Burrow right now. I mean, the guy had Urban Meyer's first year. Absolute dumpster fire. The fact that he made it out alive is impressive. And he's impressed.
That's true.
He's impressed this year. I mean, Joe B tore his ACL year 1 and then came back and, made the Super Bowl run.
I mean, yeah, that's right. That's where I'm coming from with it. Like, I think they're only 300 yards apart on the season.
The 2 quarterbacks?
Yeah, Burrow's got 10 more touchdowns. But yardage-wise, like yards per game and stuff, it's not a big gap between Lawrence and Burrow.
But I think, I know the Jags probably don't score as much as the Bengals, but they might rely on ETN more and James Robinson when they had him more than the Bengals have relied on Mixon and Pirine.
Mixon gets streaky. Mixon, he'll get his touch. He'll get 10 to 15 touches in the backfield. But a lot of his touches come from receiving the ball out of the backfield. Same with Pirine. Pirine sees probably 15 snaps a game, but those 15 snaps he's in the game, he's getting the ball.
It's third down snaps.
Yeah, every one of them. He's getting the ball.
Yep.
All right, fellas.
That was just the name I had for next year.
My cat just attacked my finger. Pretty upset about it, not gonna lie.
Better get it taken care of.
I'm bleeding. What a little asshole. Well, guys, we've almost made it an hour. That's pretty good. We're going to wrap it up if y'all don't care. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the show today. Again, can't stress this enough. Thoughts and prayers to Demar Hamlin and the rest of the Buffalo Bills family, as well as his family and friends. We wish him nothing but the best. Going to continue to try to keep updates, every show. I'm sure a lot of things are going to come out in the next week, and hopefully it's good news. Never want to hear anything bad coming out of anything like that. We don't know what's happening in the world of NFL moving forward, but we know they are going to play week 18 games. Or is it not? Is it week 19 or 18? 18. Week 18 is going to be going on as normal. We don't know what's going to happen with the Bengals-Bills game, whether or not they're going to replay it, start it over, or just let it be. Call it a no contest, whatever you want it to be. So we'll talk about that in the future. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all the love. As always, peace.